will be changed. Everything that you think you're working for now will automatically transform and change to like, okay, well, we were doing that, but now we're going to take that and we're going to be doing this with it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Whatever it is that you want to build here, you'll be thinking about building it over there, and maybe you'll build something here just to get your money up and then take it over there, because that's where the resources are, and that's where the opportunity, that's where freedom is. That's where there's no racism against you. There's millions of acres of land available. And just for example, sorry to be so long-winded, but just for example, like the organization that I'm involved in, Basani, we have several different non-for-profit organizations, and one of them is called the Gullah Redemption Mission, Sierra Leone. This organization has a program called Tools and Seeds, where we've gone to different villages and we've started partnerships with these villages, and these villages have given us hundreds of acres of land. So we have 500 acres of land in Sierra Leone, which is so massive. And then we have a 20-acre farm, and it's so massive that we can't even do anything with the rest of the land. It's just too much. So we're looking for investors to come who want to invest. We have 500 acres of land that was given to us for free. And we formed a partnership, and we provide them with the tools and the seeds. They do all the planting and harvesting and everything, and then we split the profit. So we're going from different villages, and we're setting up these programs in different countries, in different villages in Sierra Leone, as well as different countries. So, there's so much opportunity that with all the talent and the intelligence and the brilliance in Powerful Pioneers, man, every last person in Powerful Pioneers could be a multi-millionaire in the next 5 years easily, just like Akon said.
Yeah, certain hip hop artists leave clues. We just got to pay attention when those clues drop.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of people. Russell Simmons lives in Africa. Akon's back in Africa. I think who moved over to Africa? Who else was it? There's Ludacris has something over in Africa going on. It's a lot. You'd be surprised. A lot of people on the down low is making moves over there because that's where the resources are.
Ludacris, especially that song when he's traveling all over the world, right? And he really promotes Africa. I'm like, he making some investment down there. You may not be telling over here.
No, but it's more than just an investment. Like I said, when you go there, it's kind of like, this is hard for me to describe because I describe it all the time, and people go, "Yo, yeah, that sounds nice." If you've never seen it for yourself, brothers and sisters, if you've never experienced it for yourself, it's called freedom. Complete and total lack of fear. Because in America, we don't realize we live in fear. Even if you're chilling, you still live in fear because you listen to sirens. And every time you see the police rolling behind you, that doesn't exist in Africa. When you're there, everybody's black. So there ain't no prejudice against you. If anything, it's the opposite. Everybody's rooting for you to win. So it's just a feeling that we've never felt here before, where they're waiting for you, literally, like they're waiting for me. And when I get there, there's people crying and cheering for me. I'm just a regular person. You know what I mean? I'm just a regular person. And I was invited to come to Sierra Leone 5 years ago by a surrogate uncle of mine who was invited there by a paramount chief. So we went there, and upon arrival, after about a week or two, we were meeting up with the advisor to the president, the minister of tourism. And you can never meet with the advisor to the president of the United States of America or any European country. I tell this to people all the time, I dropped out of high school. And I'm meeting with the advisor to the president of an African nation, the mayor. I eat lunch with the minister of tourism. I dropped out of high school. I'm from the hood. So, so this is real. This is absolutely real. So when I tell people this, it's just, this can be you too. This thing that they're waiting for us.
I definitely love your message, and thank you for sharing. I love your message of hope. I love your message of unity. I love your message of basically getting back to our roots in a home continent. That is so important. And for those out there who do not have your passport, please get your passport in order to make that happen. Because also, you never know when you have to hightail out of somewhere.
That's right. That's right.
You never
you got to get up on out of here. Get up.
You never know
I'm out. That's what I'm. That's why, you know, I got my passport. You know, I had a passport for 30 years, but I'm saying, on another note, you know, what we don't realize is we don't really know who we are. When I say that, I mean, you know, you look, we make up names for ourselves, and that's wonderful. But we got to understand that when you return home, you'll realize that you have a real name. So let's say, for instance, if you do a DNA test, the DNA test will tell you where you came from. It'll tell you, especially if you do an African ancestry DNA test, then not only will they tell you what region you're from, they will tell you what people that you come from. So let's say, for instance, my good brother, Chief Fode Ajamu Mansoure, he's from Pennsylvania. He's a Gullah Geechee, and he went to Sierra Leone. And when he went to Sierra Leone, he found his people. He's Mandinka. So he went to the Mandinka people. They received him, and he you know, he was an upstanding person, and they received him and welcomed him home. And he was doing so much good work. They made him a chief. So he found his people, and was returned to his position of, now everybody that goes there is not going to be a chief, but what happened was, when he went there and he walked into the village, everybody was astounded because he looked exactly like their chief who had recently passed away. The same height, same color, he looked exactly like this brother. So when he walked in, everybody was shocked. They was just like, the chief has returned. On top of the work that he was doing, they had to make him a chief. And this brother is doing so much. You know, as time goes on, I will be introducing him to the family, introducing work that he's doing, you know, videos, et cetera, et cetera. You know, it's happening really. I got several brothers who've done that. I got another brother, his name is Dynast, very popular on Facebook. You know, he's like 1 million followers. He's going to every African country. So he found his ethnic group, and he went to Nigeria, and they made him a prince. And that's on his father's side, and his mother's side was Mende in Sierra Leone. So he came to Sierra Leone, and he went to the Mende people, and they received him, and they gave him a title as well. So this is what's waiting for us on the other side. You're not, you know, some nigga from the hood. When you go back to Africa, you can return to the people that you came from. You can learn your lineage and your heritage, and you are entitled in Africa, you are entitled to land. So that is how we're being received, because we're entitled, because every African is entitled to land. And on top of that, even if you didn't look up your background, land is so inexpensive that it's ridiculous. You know, so if you live in a house here let's say you live in a house in America, an average lot, a town lot, would be about 30 or 40 feet wide by about 75 feet deep. $400 for a plot of land that size. You can buy a pair of sneakers in America for $400. So you can buy a plot of land and build you a house. You can get the land for $400 and build you a house for a couple of stacks. You can never do that here in America. So
guys, he said $400.
Right.
$400
for a plot of land.
If you didn't hear anything else that this brother was saying tonight, everybody heard $400 for a plot of land.
Real talk, family.
Wow. Well, you know, Chris, I want to say thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story of who you are, your blessings. You know, I definitely know you'll be back. I definitely know, you know, you and Brother Rojo would definitely, you know what, we got to organize that trip. We got to see how to make that happen for people.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so people could learn their roots or get get back to it. Yeah, that'll be.
I got more information for y'all that I'll share, you know, on another call or something like that. But you know, that directly connects. You know, if you consider yourself as a black American, more than likely your heritage comes from the southern states of the United States of America. Most people that I've ever met that call themselves a Black America got roots in the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
The majority
mine is the South. Mine is the South Carolina. Mm-hmm.
So the majority of people who are brought to that region from Africa come from Sierra Leone and Liberia. I didn't know that until I went to Sierra Leone. I learned the history, and I'm pretty knowledgeable. but I knew nothing about Sierra Leone and Sierra Leone's history, about the slave force that are there in Sierra Leone, how the Black American directly comes from that area. And that is why that's the first place that Black people ever stepped their foot back in Africa after slavery. The first place we ever stepped foot back in Africa was in Sierra Leone. So the movie, what's the Amistad? That movie, when they returned them back to Africa, it was to Sierra Leone, to a place called King Jimmy's Fort, which is it's a fort, but it's also a trading. It's a what do you call it? A market. It's the oldest operating market in the entire continent of Africa. That from 1,000 years ago to this very day is still in operation. And that place was where we left from, and the first place we ever stepped foot back in Africa. And that's where the brother Sinke from Sierra Leone. I didn't know that. I saw the movie several times. There's a statue of him in Freetown, Sierra Leone. I didn't know that until I went there. So there's so much history and knowledge, and I invite every last person. Matter of fact, I'm gonna talk to Brother Rojo about that. We need to put a trip together for 2021, for winter 2021. You know what I mean?
That is amazing. That is amazing. And, and this is so important with the topic of, family and unity. We have to know where our original family is from. We have to learn to get back to, our roots. And if you don't know, it's okay. It is okay if you don't know. That's why we have the